Hello, hi, I'm Echo, and I am deciding to use Bazzite. But you're probably wondering why. Why on earth would you want to use Bazzite? Why on earth would you want to do that? It's an immutable distro. You don't have control over your distribution. What if I told you that you did? What if I told you that there is ways around certain things in order to actually be able to VTube, as well as be able to do a bunch of recording and even obtain applications that you normally wouldn't be able to do on Bazzite if it wasn't for a program like DistroBox, for example. So yeah, let's take a look into this. We're gonna go ahead and do the installation process. We're gonna do it kind of a little bit differently because I already have Bazzite installed on the computer that I'm recording this on. So we will be going over on how to actually access applications, starting with VTube Studio on the host computer to kind of make things a little bit easier. And then what we're going to end up doing is we're going to end up just going through the installation process first, and we'll end up going through the install steps, as well as be able to help people get things going as far as like VTubing is concerned. Because not a lot of people want to go through a distribution like Arch, base Fedora, or even Ubuntu or their derivatives, with maybe the exception of maybe some immutable distributions, because they don't want to risk their computer breaking. Well, what if I told you people wanted to have stability as well and wanted to kind of also have another option of a distribution that is also out of the box? There are many distributions that are like that, like Linux Mint, Pika OS, Nobara, Kashi OS, and depending on how you look at it, Nix OS. But with Bazzite, it's even more for that experience, because you get to choose whether or not you want to run it as a desktop, or if you also want to be able to run it as a home entertainment center. It also has a bunch of optimizations out of the box, and it gives you a bunch of programs out of the box as well. Now, each OS does things differently, and nothing is going to be perfect. There is a caveat to Bazzite I'm going to say right out the gate. There are certain things when you're trying to... There's at least 2% of packages, as far as I'm aware, that doesn't work really well on Bazzite. And as far as I'm aware, it's like DaVinci. Some DaVinci packages don't work well on Bazzite, and some Leap Motion stuff don't work on Bazzite very well. However, there are other ways around getting that stuff. So there are ways to do it. Even if you can't use DaVinci, you'll still have the option of using stuff like Kdenlive and everything else. I might try to see if I can install DaVinci. If I can get DaVinci installed on my gaming and editing computer, then yeah, then it's not gonna be an issue. But we're not gonna. But that's not the type of video we're doing right now. Right now, what we're doing is we will be exploring on how to get VTubing started on Bazzite. This is something that people have requested for a little bit, and I kind of took a little bit of time off from making videos like this because I did make the other videos as well. And now that I'm all settled in and I am moved, I am at least in a situation to where I can make another video. At least in a situation like this. Any future videos I make, I'm going to have to wait until I get a test rig going. I technically already have half the parts for it. I just need to wait a little longer while I'm taking care of some personal matters. Again, if people want to support me, you can always donate to the Ko-Fi to help me out with that. It would definitely greatly appreciate me. I'd be greatly appreciated for that. I hope people appreciate me. But I'd be greatly appreciated for any help and support with that as well. Because then that also ensures that we get more videos more often, and we can go over even stuff like Void Linux for the 10 people that use it. And let's go ahead and just take a look into the install process for Bazzite. Okay, so what you gotta do is when starting the install process, you need to go to Bazzite's website. You need to click on Download Bazzite at this button up here. When you go to the Download Bazzite button, you need to select your hardware. In this case, we're going to be using a desktop, but if you have any other type of computer or hardware machine, even a virtual machine, in some situations, you can select any of these. But for this purpose, we're going to select desktop. you're going to choose your primary GPU provider. So if you have an AMD card, NVIDIA card, or Intel Arc, you could then choose that. If you have an AMD card, NVIDIA card, and Intel card for that are older series, like 1080 Ti, like R9, you know, HD, Iris, basically stuff like that. What you want to do is you want to make sure that you what you want to do is you want to make sure that you are able to do that as far as like selecting your hardware. So in this case, you'd be selecting in this case I'd be selecting AMD, and then you would choose KDE. You can choose GNOME if you want to, and then you can choose whether it will boot straight into the console-like experience, or you can just use a traditional desktop experience. For VTubing, I would recommend choosing the traditional desktop experience if you're using it as your main computer. You can choose it as your gaming computer as well, but I also want to do other things with my computer as well. So that's what you do. Then you click download Bazzite. You can use the legacy ISO if you want, but you don't have to do that. So what we're going to go ahead and do now, a Yumi, if you're on Windows, use Rufus. Use any of those in order to write the ISO file to the USB drive. If you need an example of that, you can always check out the CatchyOS video where I do that. I think I did that at least. If not, you know, it's not hard to do. But basically what you're going to do is you're going to plug the USB drive into your computer, and you're going to turn it back on. And given how things are, especially with the refined boot manager, you're going to go ahead and select boot on here. Depending on your OS or your situation, it might end up letting you go as far as selecting like an area on your computer or desktop, as far as like the boot manager goes. But you definitely want to select the boot portion, or where it says Fedora or Bazzite, in order for you to get into that. And it's going to boot into this Bazzite environment, and once it starts booting into the Bazzite environment, you're then going to be able to start your whole installation. Now, there are some key takeaways with Bazzite, and I understand that there's an elephant in the room saying, oh, you can't change the main files. You can, because there's a way to do it. However, they don't recommend that you do it. They just don't recommend that you do it. So here you are given the Bazzite environment. Now, this definitely looks a little different. Now, it is interesting, because basically how the installation looks is like, you know, look at the background here. You're going to notice something different later on. So click on install Bazzite. It's going to go ahead and start the process. It's going to start initiating that process of installing Bazzite on your computer. And, you know, if I had to really say anything, this is probably one of the easier installations that you can do on a Linux computer, and that's basically what you want. There's a reason as to why this is on a framework PC. There's a reason why this is on, like, commercial grade PCs that are kind of being sold to the public. So go ahead and hit next. Go ahead and, you know, change that destination, because you're going to actually want to either overwrite or use a different one. In my case, I'm going to go ahead and select the one where it says Pika OS. So I want to keep everything else. Hit select. Now, you do have the option of dual booting if you want to, or changing your mount point assignment. I'm just going to hit next. I'm not going to encrypt my data. And we're going to go ahead and do that. And you have the option of enabling a root account. I'm going to go ahead and do that, so I'm a little more experienced. You don't have to do this, but this does gives you a little bit more of a ability to get into your computer, right? So it's good stuff. I understand. I'm, you know, erasing all the data, and it's going to go ahead and start this installation process. When it's doing this installation process, you know, you can go ahead and get yourself a cup of coffee. You can go ahead and, you know, watch something on your phone into the meantime. You could definitely get this done. You know, you could definitely do it, and it's not a bad thing to do, really. But this will allow you to install Bazzite on your machine, and it will give you that ability of being able to use your machine. There are a couple things that I do end up disabling on any KDE installation of any kind of OS, because I think it's just kind of annoying on my part. especially, you know, this thing here. I don't really like this at the moment. Maybe when I get older I might, but I don't really like that. It's just kind of distracting in my opinion. But you know, going through this process is probably not maybe that bad in my opinion. And it's, I think the whole consideration of an immutable distro is kind of like overblown, because people definitely immutable distros are not bad to use at all. It just ensures that you're not going to easily break your computer. Now you can still break your computer if you want to, but you know, why would you want to do that, right? I mean, we're taking from somebody in the situation of they just moved from Windows and they don't want to have to deal with like a lot of stuff out the gate. They want to get all their stuff done, and this is yet another distribution that can do that for you. It can end up giving you that hope that, hey, there is other options out here that I can actually get my workflow done with. I can actually do the things I want to do with it. I can actually get the stuff I want to get done. And that's the same with like any Linux distribution. But I think like starting out, this is one of the other options people could start out with to actually get their foot in the door when it comes to VTubing, or when it comes to even streaming, or even just general use of their computer. And it's fine. It's completely fine. If you have a little bit more technical know-how, you can also use stuff like DistroBox. DistroBox comes pre-installed on this distribution, and there's a reason for that. Because when you are installing stuff through DistroBox, you can choose the distro you're comfortable with doing that. For me, it's like Debian, Ubuntu. You know, I can do some certain things on Fedora and Arch. But if I wanted to get applications, I would just run a Debian instance inside DistroBox. I would install the application, and then I would export the application out to my desktop, which I'll end up showing you how to do that in a minute after we get everything set up. It's a really easy thing to do. I could probably find a program or a game that I can like just do that with. It's not really an issue in my opinion, but it's also not like a bad thing either. But this definitely makes it so where you're in the situation of having like a stable distribution. Now, you know, it's not a bad situation to really be in when you are using a desktop, and you don't have to switch at all after you've already installed something. You can switch every now and then if you start feeling like a little bored of the distribution, or if you want to just try something new. In my case, I just want to try out how immutable distributions are, see what their limitations are, and if I don't like it, I'll switch away from it. But for now, I just kind of feel kind of interested in it. I just feel kind of interested in using Bazzite at the moment, because this is how I am. You know, I want to look into these things for these for the people that watch my videos, and I want to make sure that, you know, they have all the knowledge that is available to them. Same thing when I was doing the CachyOS video. CachyOS video was long because it was long for a reason. The other videos weren't as long, but they were kind of getting there. Now with this video here, considering how simple this distribution is, it's probably not going to be that long, but I'm still going to go ahead and go through the steps on how you can actually get things, you know, into your computer. Again, it might be a little different with this one, because I'll be mainly, because right now we're installing Bazzite on my gaming computer, and I'll be messing with that in a minute after we get everything set up. But we will be going through the VTubing steps on the streaming computer that I'm recording this from. Right now you are seeing Live 2D working, and I can show you another Live 2D instance of how you can select things and get things going if you need me to. But it'd be easier for me to direct you on what you can do. For people who have watched my videos, you basically know how to grab VTube Studio, but I'm still going to show people, because I think it's important that if you've never used Linux before, it doesn't need to be a daunting thing to use when you have distributions that are not easily to break. And even though they might have a little bit of limitations, they're not so limited in the point where you can't do anything. So I think Bazzite gives you a lot of options, especially when it comes to the packages, the ability to use flat packs, the ability to have a distribution that's not going to like easily break on you. And again, it really just depends on the distribution you choose, depends on how you use your computer. Not all distributions are easily broken. PikaOS is a really solid distribution in my opinion. very solid. I do recommend it as well if you don't like Bazzite or Nobara or Crashy OS or Linux Mint if you're wanting to start out with. Like, there are options for you to go about certain things. You don't have to have this feeling of being stuck, because when we have a certain situation where Windows 11 is causing all these issues and most of that platform's OS just isn't working how it should be intended to work for people. Like, a Windows OS should have just been a better experience than Windows 10. It absolutely was not. They are going for the full agentic route. They want you to log in online with their OS. They want you to they want to force your computer into not being able to use the full power of your computer. They want to force you into situations to where you're like, oh no, I'm doing a certain thing, and all of a sudden it blue screens, or it has driver problems due to driver conflicts. And yeah, and I know, like, Linux isn't perfect, but it's still in a better state than fucking Windows is, and that's a crazy thing to think about, because Linux has went a long way. It's went a very long way, and it's a really good thing to see. But yeah, once we're nearing toward the end of the install process, so there is a secure boot key that gets added, but you don't have to have secure boot enabled if you don't want it to be enabled. And go ahead and just let it finalize its process. It's going to go ahead and clean out that drive. Make sure you have backed up all your information before you even decided to install something. I'm not going to be liable for you to install your OS and wonder what happened to all your files. Put them on a separate drive, or make sure you're able to just do what else. So you're going to go ahead and just exit live desktop. And I think it should also give the option to restart. In this case, we're going to just shut this down, because I'm going to turn it back on after I unplug the thing. Given the nature of how this works, whenever Bazzite does an update, it ends up updating. It then prompts you to, it asks you to restart. So if you're going to use Bazzite, make sure you update and then go about your day, and then at the end of the day, maybe update again. And make sure, because you're gonna want to restart. I don't think you'd want it to force restarts, because this has version control. So say something goes wrong in a certain version of Bazzite, you can roll it back, because I think it stays in the system for a couple days. So there's also that. But now we are going to be into the Bazzite system. It's going to be able to be used. Preparing system. Please wait. This may take a while. So it's going to go ahead and prepare the system. It's going to get things ready. That way it's not going to cause issues. Alright, so now you're in your computer, and just put your password in that you set. And now you're in your computer, and as you can see, the background has changed. It's going to go ahead and start Steam up for you. This is just for a general use if you want to have it set up. You can disable this. So I'm just going to run through a couple things real quick for you. First of all, we're going to go ahead and just go to panel configuration and disable that. Turn that off. Exit edit mode. System settings. I'm gonna go ahead and boot Steam up for you. Power management. If you're a power user, you can just kind of just turn all this shit off. Put this in performance. Low battery, of course, we're just gonna do nothing. Never hit apply. Then what you can do is you can take a look at your computer. You got your discrete graphics card. It actually kind of gives you a lot of good information out the gate. It is also using the latest KDE Plasma, so that's a good thing. Auto start. If you do not want Steam to auto start, hit the X button on that, and it will stop doing that. We'll mess with that in a minute. And then KDE wallet. I don't like fucking KDE wallet for any fucking reason. I understand it's like a thing, but I just don't like it. I think it's annoying. Screen locking. If you don't want your computer to lock while you're streaming, turn this shit off too. You don't need it on. See how this like mouse thing, if you don't like this, go to accessibility, shake cursor, turn that shit off, hit apply. Now it's not going to do that. And you know, you can check all your game controllers here. So I have my game controller hooked up. All right, well, Nintendo GameCube controller is hooked up, which is crazy to think about, but it is. But I can also switch the controller if I want to my 8-bit controller and see that it works. So your controllers are good. You know, if you want to have gestures, you can do that as well. Display and monitor, screen edges. I don't use I don't use this stuff for a computer like this. For a streaming computer and a computer like this, I just don't use this stuff yet. I don't feel like I need to. At least not at the moment. If you want to, that's completely fine for you. And you can go ahead and, like, you know, take a look at all the stuff here. I like to rearrange my icons so it's a little closer to what it was like before. I'm not going to use Firefox. I just don't want to use it. Spectacle. Okay, we're going to grab a spectacle as well. We go ahead and grab this and hit a task manager. Go ahead, just do that. You can add this to favorites as well if you want to. But there's a thing that, so the difference between we can go ahead and close this out. I think we're done with this for now. So the difference between Bazzite and any other thing is that instead of shipping with this, actually, do they have Discover? No, they don't. But they do have Bazaar, and Bazaar is basically just FlatHub. You could download things like OBS. You could download, like, you know, Discord. You can grab Discord. Well, okay. So it's gonna be, you can grab Discord. You can grab I want Bitwarden actually. I'll use the app image for that. I'm not gonna fuck with that. You can grab Gear Lever if you want. You can grab a bunch of programs just out the gate from this. Krita. Grab that. Install that. Do that. Let's see here. I'm kind of Firefox, right? You don't want to use Firefox. You can just remove it, and then you can grab Zen browser if you want. That's what I'm gonna grab. The Zen browser is just much better in my opinion. Install it. Grab it. It's gonna replace itself. Once it's installed, it should pop up somewhere. Yep, there it is. There's the Zen browser. And you know, you have a bunch of things that are already pre-installed as well, but let me make sure. Like bottles. Grab bottles. You don't want that. You can grab Proton, Port Proton. This is just general stuff that you can grab. This isn't like a lot of things. This is also the stuff I want. You can grab Port Proton. Luitris should already be installed if it's already there. Proton Plus should already be installed as well. I've never really used a web client, so I might use Proton Mail. Depends. If you don't have Wine, because you're gonna want to get Wine, I usually grab Q4 Wine. Grab the latest stable version of Wine, in my opinion, which I think would be this one, 25.0. Yeah, just grab it. And then, you know, you know, any compatibility tools are better than no compatibility tools, honestly. You could grab Proton Up QT, but there's no point. Proton Tricks is already installed. You can get Heroic, which I will be grabbing Heroic. Definitely want the Heroic Games launcher. You can grab certain other launchers if you want to. Just keep in mind that they might have ramifications you don't want to deal with, so that's up to you. Grab the Fogus launcher if you want, and it's going to go ahead and just install everything over here. It's going to tell you that everything got installed, and you can kind of just close it out if you want to. I'll grab other stuff if I need as well. You can go ahead and add that to desktop. You can add that to desktop. You know, you can add your programs to desktops if you want to. That way you have like easy access to them. And, you know, this is like a sin, but you know, this is just what I like to do. You know, it's just something that I like to do as far as having access to everything right out the gate. Put Discord here. And oh yeah, I definitely want GIMP. Let's grab GIMP. Get GIMP. Let's go ahead and grab Kdenlive. Kdenlive is also a really good video editor, in my opinion. It's really, really good. Go ahead and just put Gear Lever on the... because this is like an app image launcher. It can update app images for you as well. But yeah, you get access to everything. If you wanted to boot up Steam, you can do that. It's gonna go ahead and just, you know, get that done. And now you have Steam. You have Steam installed. And you know, you should have all your games as well. For me, it's gonna say it's not installed, but I can guarantee you I do have games installed on other drives, which we're gonna get to that. So if you've already backed your games up and you have them on other drives, I do want to keep in mind that if you are moving from a Windows distribution to a Linux distribution, back all your stuff up on a drive. Change the drive you want to put the games on to ext4, and you put your main drive as BTRFS or ext4, because those are honestly the most stable things you can do. So let's see here. So, gonna go ahead and go to the discs. So the cool thing is Bazzite comes with GNOME discs, which is really good. And I like that. So I have all these discs here. And there's this is the NVMe drive. So you can basically edit your mount options, hit OK, put your password in, hit OK, hit the plus sign, and then, you know, basically go through this process. This is basically the whole setting up part of things, getting things going. That's already going. That's going. Some things will auto mount by themselves, but you also want to check to make sure that they actually do mount. So I'd really hate for it to not do that, depending on where they're at. Got to make sure that it's not gonna cause issues. And this is like the one that the drive's on. So all my drives are mounted now, and if I were to look in Dolphin, there's all my drives with all my files. Outside of the files I backed up. Yeah. Anyways, there's that. So that works. And there are other ways to get things going. So say I want to change the color of this to a different color. I could go to my colors and themes, colors, change this to a darker purple. And then, because I think I already have one, like, darker purple will do. And, or, I could do whatever, you know. It's not a bad thing. And, you know, I might, for now, just keep it the way it is. But you can change it if you want. Basically, and also in Steam,
This is just extra stuff, you know, extra stuff. It's a little cherry on top. You can actually mount all your drives. Now, this drive has nothing on it, but you can go ahead and add these other drives. So you can add this one, add that one, add that one, that one, add that one, add that one, that one. That's it. There's all the drives. All the drives we added. And basically what this will do is it will give it the ability to show all your games that were already installed. Because I don't want to have to reinstall everything, and everything is in ext4, and I know everything works. So this is not a bad thing to see. Especially in a situation like this. So I'm gonna go ahead and just validate everything. Go ahead and, you know, just retry sync on a lot of stuff if you want to. You might run into this issue to where it ends up asking you to remount all the stuff. Just remount it, and then it will go ahead and do everything that's updated apparently. It's an interesting thing. Interesting. And if you already had your files all set up, you don't have to worry about like anything really. That's the cool part of it all. Try sync on all this stuff real quick. And of course there are updates that you can get, and there's all these games that I have that will eventually retry the sync on, but we're not gonna do that. Not right now at least. Definitely have quite the extension collection now. This is just part of the setup process as far as like using Bazzite, and this is basically the base level kind of stuff. You do have the option to use DistroBot, which we will do after I'm done being situated with this. Or situated. Where's Fantasy Star on that? Try some. We got that. Go ahead and just close out Steam. We're gonna do something else. So there is a Proton thing we can grab. So if you load up Proton Plus or you load up Proton.qt, you can go ahead and grab the latest version of GE Proton. And you'll need GE Proton for, you know, various Linux apps. Like, you know, go ahead and grab 1029, 1028, you know, 1025 as well if you want. In my opinion, I'm probably just gonna grab just what I need, but yeah, you have the option to do all this stuff. If you really need to do Steam Tinker Launch, you can do that. Did that just fucking work? Holy shit. Hold up. let me boot this up. Yeah, can Proton Plus just do that now? You can just use Steam Tinker Launch. Does it just install YAD for you? So then that's huge. So basically you can go ahead and go to properties on like any game if you want to. You can go ahead and just force it into, oh my god, you can. Holy shit. Okay, that's huge. Alright. It's 10-29. Go ahead and hit play. Accept the terms and conditions. Just kind of let it go. I'm only going to like boot up the game for a little bit. And then we'll go ahead and go straight into the Vtubing. Because at that point you'd have your computer already set up, right? Obviously the game's going to work. It should work just fine. I'm not sure if GoVerlay is installed. If it is, I can install it, but kind of let it do its thing. And if the audio's too low, you can always change it. For that. Okay, there's no go relay yet, but I can always get it. So yeah, you're able to, you know, play games on Bazzite, you know, because that's what it's designed to do. It's using a thing called TuneD instead of like what Pika OS uses. But yeah, you can run around, you can do everything here, play your game. Put your password in if you want. But yeah, there's that. I'll just wait for it to exit the game. But yeah, there you go. There you go. There you have it. There is your setup as far as your Bazzite installation goes. Of course, I have a lot of other things I need to do. A lot of other apps I want to get at some point. But let's go ahead and go into starting the Vtubing outside of the setup. So let's do that. Okay, so here we have some programs you want to get. So obviously you want to get VTube Studio. So as soon as you have Steam installed, because if you're using Bazzite, it's going to already be installed. You go to the store, you go to search the store, you type in VTube Studio, and you grab it, because VTube Studio is free. You can get the, you can support the developer by getting all this stuff here. You don't have to. You do get the free broadcast tracker though. But once you have this here, you can go ahead and hit install. It will then install on your system. And then you're going to want to go ahead and grab a Proton compatibility tool. In this case, you're going to be using 10-28. You can grab that from getting Proton Plus, which I showed you earlier. So if you go ahead and load up Proton Plus, you'll have the option to see which one you have here. So you can go ahead and select the version that you want. For Spout 2 will be using 10-28 whenever it releases. As for now, you can also grab 10-29. But as soon as you grab these, you can go ahead and close this out. You're then going to want to restart Steam. So you're going to want to close Steam out. Go ahead and click on the little area on your desktop. Go ahead and click on this right here to exit Steam. Now what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and reopen Steam. And after you have already updated, signed in, grabbed all the protons that you need, and you have the Vtubing software downloaded, what you can then do is you can go ahead and click on the cog, click on properties, put this command in here, ops-game capture %command %, hit compatibility, change your compatibility tool to one of the GE protons, go to installed files, browse, VTube Studio data, streaming assets, keep this folder open. I'm going to tell you where to get this file. So if you go to the Linux Guide to Vtubing, what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and scroll down, all the way down, and you're going to go ahead and just grab the scroll past it. You're going to go ahead and grab the VTube Studio right here. You're going to go ahead and grab the ip.txt file, and you can get it from DinchiSoft. You can also grab it from my copy that I created over here. So you can download it, and then what you do is you take that file that you downloaded, you extract it, or you take the file and that you downloaded, go back to your folder you kept open and copy and paste it here. So you want to copy, paste it into the streaming assets folder. Once you do that, you feel free to go ahead and use any of the free models that VTube Studio has. You can also use any model that you own as well. Once you do that, you can go ahead and close this out. You can go ahead and, minimize this if you want to. Close that out and then hit launch. And then it should give you the Vtubing software, and you will have your model here. Or if you don't have your model here, after all this annoying shit goes away, go ahead and click on change VTube Studio model, and you can change it to any model you want. Change it to any model you want. You can also go as far as, if you don't have a model yet, is you can go ahead and go to the Steam Workshop. You can download any model you want. Don't have a model? Doesn't matter. You can VTube for free. This is free. People make models for free. You can even be the Zenless Zone Zero person if you want to. As well as all these other cursed models that you can get, or, basically you get the idea. You could do this for free. You could be Germa if you want to. Anyways. Once you do that, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go ahead and open up Bazzite, which is basically the app that has, this says Bazzite, right? Go ahead and look up the program Face Tracker. Go ahead and grab this program and download it. Once it downloads, it's going to go up here. It's going to go ahead and download it pretty quickly, and you're going to be good. Then what you could do is you can go ahead and click on your application launcher. You could then launch Face Tracker, or you can go and click on the search bar to launch Face Tracker. So if you need to find Face Tracker, you can do this. You can find Face Tracker here. Once you do that, boot up Face Tracker. Once Face Tracker has been booted up, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to click on Start Face Tracker. Then you're going to be able to move around. Now, yeah, but you're going to be able to move around, and you're going to be able to do the things that you want to do with it, which is really good. It's really good. It's really good to see that, being able to do that. So once you have it all set up, you are good to go as far as this goes. Basically, and you also want to make sure that you change your background to a background color that you can change it to. And you want to also make sure it's transparent and capture, and then you'll be good to go. Once Spout 2 comes out, I will make a video on Spout 2 on how to use it. And I'm pretty certain I can get it working on Bazzite. I mean, it's not going to be that hard, right? Anyways, then what you're going to want to do is, after you have it all set up, you can then go ahead and, move that around if you need to. Let's see here. Let's see. But yeah, that's basically how to get Live 2D working on this, and as you can see, it's working, which is pretty good. So that's how you get Live 2D working in the grand scheme of things. If my other videos also cover it as well, but basically I just want to do it for OS in the situation like this. Now, oh shit. There we go. Okay. Okay, so we're good to go on that, and can't minimize that. regardless, let's see here. Let's do that. Regardless, we have this going. So let's go ahead and move this capture closer to the other side. Okay, so now I'm here. Move myself over here now. So basically we have that set up, which is really good. Now, what we're gonna want to do is we're gonna make sure that these other VTubing software works as well. So, you know, I might have to go through like intermittent things where I turn certain things off, or I have to, you know, do what I gotta do. But I'm gonna show you that way it works. So we're already done with VTube Studio for now, but you want to see if something else works. Let's do that. So what you can do now is, if you want to see if a 3D program works, for example, you can actually go ahead and grab VC Face. And of course, like you can get, you know, VNeon works, Warudo works. Grab VC Face. And VC Face will work, you know, just as well. And we'll be launching this through a different program. No matter how you want to do it, you can launch it, you know, any way you want to. And then we can grab Vtubing Mini, which I already have it, but you go to the website. So you go to the website and you grab it. And you just grab Vtubing Mini. If you want to get the early access for the upgraded one of VTube, you can do that as well. You can also have the option of grabbing stuff like VNeon. VNeon is also a good program. You can download it, you can use it. It's also a good alternative of a program. If you want to, you can also grab a program called Warudo. Warudo is also another good 3D program. They all have their own little quirks to them, but I just want to show a couple of them off. So let's go ahead and just start with Vtubing, since I already have it. So I'm going to go ahead and go to my folder here, home, PC programs. Take a look at here, and as you can see, I have VC Face, and I also have Vtubing Mini. I'll have to add like my. That's how we get around some issues that were unintended side effects, but it still works. You know, just I don't know how to install FreeType or HartFuzz on Bazzite just yet, so let's see. You can grab here, get that, hit open. Go ahead, you can add this desktop as well. It will use GE Proton. You can use anything here if you want to. We're going to use Umu for this. Hit OK. Hit start. It's going to go ahead and install everything that needs to install. It's going to create its own little dependency. Okay, so we have this here, and guess what? We can see all the text and stuff. So it's you know, using a Windows program like this in this manner is not bad. And if we want to go ahead and use this into here, we can go ahead and just grab this, change this here, so open the cursor. Go ahead and go to the window in OBS. So you want to click on what you're going to want to do in OBS. You're going to want to go ahead and click on your window capture, or you're going to click on, if you're on Wayland, screen capture, Typewire, and you're going to add it. Then once you do that, double click on it, click Windows, look for Vtubing Mini, hit OK. You're gonna notice there's gonna be some transparency here. Go to your filters, and you're gonna want to change this. So you're gonna change the similarity. Go ahead, change how it looks, the way it's presentable. You should be good. In my case, I'm gonna go ahead and just look at these images. I'm gonna go ahead and add my images now. And if you're trying to look for things, click on that. So basically you click on this, you go ahead and see shit, can't you? Close that out. Basically what you're gonna do is you're going to click on, it's gonna be desktop, click on that, click on mount, click on one of these. You basically just want to find out where this is at. And, click on desktop, click on my computer, click on desktop, click on that, click on home, Bazzite, pictures, PNG tubers, and choose one of your PNG tubers here. And we're gonna grab the idle and the talkie. So now we have this, and we can be the appers now. So, and you also want to change your microphone settings. Use the HyperX, and it will just work. Now, of course, you have to kind of do the things you gotta do. And go ahead and just re-enable this. And you're gonna notice that there's a border on the top. Hit Alt. Take the border off. And there might be a thing on the side as well. But yeah, there you go. You can now use a PNG tuber on Linux, and you should be good to go. And it will definitely give you the ability to, to do what you gotta do. Now, we're gonna go ahead and take a look at 3D vtubing for Meta. There are multiple ways of doing this. So, we can go ahead and just let that do its thing. Let's go ahead and look for XR Animator. So, when you're having XR Animator is a way to be able to do a 3D model on Linux. But it's also a way to be able to, use your hands with your, talking and doing everything. And you can go here, go to the GitHub page. Of course, there'll be links in the description. And you'll have the option to use one of the latest versions if you want to. You can click on download. In our case, we're using Linux. We'll be using the app image. And it will kind of just do its own thing. So yeah. It does kind of suck that we couldn't use the app image version of VtubTube, but, if you're on Bazzite, you gotta take a couple L's. Especially if you can't install HarkBuzz or... I feel like this stuff should be installed, at least for that. Should already be installed with the OS, but that's besides the point. It's still not bad. Still not a bad experience so far. Yeah. Take a look at something. There we go. There we go. All right. Little me's pretty good, Pretty good. Pretty good. Pretty good. Okay. So now, what you're gonna do is you're gonna go ahead and do some things, basically. So you're gonna download this, and you're gonna go ahead and use a program. Which, you know, this program's not bad to launch programs with. I use it for Vneon. So let me go ahead and get Vneon going. Path. Yeah, because I already have Vneon downloaded. So we'll go ahead and just use this. Vneon.exe. Desktop. With some GE Proton. Hit OK. And we're also going to go ahead and just launch XR Animator. Which you can put this on your desktop. Now, I have two XR animators. This is the one in beta. Stable one. I'm use the stable one for now. You're going to want to click on an Electron file. There it is. You click on the Electron file. Launch it. You're gonna see this. Let me go ahead and free up my web. Let me go ahead and just free this webcam up. So I'm gonna close this out. Close out VTube Studio. And we're gonna use this for now. Ah, cool. This worked out. All right. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna go ahead and click on Start. It's then going to ask you for your webcam. Mirror the image. Grab the webcam. It's gonna calibrate everything. Make sure you hit stream remote as well. You can also choose your pose. You know, if you're VTubing, you want to click on upper body. Then hit down on that. And go ahead and click streamer mode. And go ahead and initialize everything. Make sure you look at the webcam while it's doing it. Go ahead and hit finish, and you can also change it to where you are able to just use your model. You don't even have to have this here, so you can just go ahead and hit that here. And you can kind of, on the stable versions, you can just kind of have it minimized. Now on Vneon, go ahead and launch Vneon. And now that Vneon is loaded up, it's going to ask you to load your avatar. So we're going to go ahead and find it. We're going to hit load. We're going to go ahead and click on this, hit home. Bazzite. In my situation, I'm hitting documents, 3D models, and then I'm going to grab my Doomer VR. I'm gonna hit open. I'm gonna hit OK. I'm just gonna hit skip on that. Hit OK. You go ahead and start, setting your hotkeys. You're good on that. Hit OK. Skip interactions. And here we go. We have this here. So basically, you're gonna probably want to know, how on earth do I do hand tracking with this? This is the model right here, which I'll have to redo a whole bunch of things with this. But here's my 3D model. Here's the full 3D model. and you'll be able to see that eventually I'll have hand tracking set up. All right, open that up. Go ahead and go back to Binion. Right here, go to connections. Oh, missile. Oh. Find this real quick. Tracking VMC receivers. Click on place. We're going to change this VMC receiver. And we're also going to go here. Mocap options. We already have it set to Binion, but you'd be able to check. So you click on VMC protocol to Binion, you got 39539. So you want to change this to 39539. And you go there, and now it's going to be able to be switched. Now I, of course, hit a bunch of things along the way. It says. So we have it set up to do the tracking. Go in east though. Body horror. Okay, there we go. So we have it all set up, and it's pretty good now. I have to set up like everything else, but that is besides the point. So yeah, we have this all set up here, and you might want to know, okay, well, how do I do the transparency now? Because, you know, we have it all set up. What the fuck's going on? We have it all set up now, and get done. Okay, we're good on that. We go ahead. We already have it all set up, and now we have the 3D tracking going. But how am I going to do the game capture essentially on this? Glad you asked. So what we could do is, and you know, you could use bottles and everything else. It's just a quick and easier way for me to do this. Go ahead and, you know, exit out of the program real quick. Go ahead and click on the Foggus launcher. Click on Edit, Tools. And you're going to see launch arguments. Just put no OBS game capture. It's in launch arguments or game arguments. I forget which one. But if things worked out correctly, you should be able to click on game capture. Binion, hit OK, and there we go. Oh, I have multiple. Shit. But yeah, we have this here. Let's go. Let's grab this. It's over here. I'll have to make macros for this once I update it. Everything like that. But yeah, now we have that, and we're pretty much set up as far as 3D VTubing goes. you know, it's a lot to go through, especially when you're starting, you know, to get everything working, and it's definitely something that, you know, people will have to, you know, go about doing. There might be unintended side effects, which is always good to mix and match which compatibility tools that you do decide to use. But this does make it, you know, a lot easier to use as far as being able to do VTubing in general. But as you can see, like, live 2D works, 3D works, especially with hand tracking and everything like that, which is really good, considering that the Electron app works on this here. And you can just straight up launch it. And also, you know, PNG tubing does work to an extent, which is not horrible. It's also not bad. It could be a lot better than what it needed to be, but it does work. It's basically the same situation OpenSUSE was in, except like it's not really a huge deal. It works regardless, and honestly, it works better through the compatibility tool right there. But yeah, other than that, being able to use your distribution on how you want to use it is actually quite a good thing, and it's honestly great, you know, on how to, like, being able to, like, use your distribution on how you want to use it. In this situation with Bazzite, it's not even a bad situation. It's just, it's different. But what I will say is Bazzite has done a lot of good things, and I think that the way they're going right now, it's just going to be a lot good for people who are either starting out or just wanting to have a more stable OS. For me, I just got curious about it, and I just want to actually use it for a little while. If I don't like it, I can just always go back to Pika OS, but I think I might like it based on how it is, how it works and stuff. There's another thing I do want to show you, though. There's a thing called, let's see here. Let's see, capture again. Okay. So there's a thing called distro shelf. It comes pre-installed. It is basically your distro box. So grab distro shelf, create a distro box. Let's say I want to grab Debian. You can type the name in. It will grab one of the Debian Bookworm backport ports. I don't want Debian Bookworm. I want Debian. There's no Trixie. Custom. Regardless, you can grab a Debian or grab like any sort of distribution you want. So you can grab Debian here. You can grab Arch if you want. You can grab different versions of each distribution, like Linux Mint, Ubuntu, Fedora, one of the Fedora 42s, you know, stuff like that. You might be able to get more recent distributions as well, which I think you can. There has to be a way to do it. But basically what you do, as an example, so you want to type in Debian, and you get like, it's like Debian stable. Hit create. It's going to go ahead and create this for you. And it's going to go ahead and create its own little environment, and that allows you to put things in like folders and stuff, which is good. Really good. Really good for what it's worth. And honestly, Bazzite's not a bad distribution from what I've used, from what I've like messed with so far. It's actually much better than I thought it would be. And I think for a new user, you would have a lot of leeway with things actually. It's like the majority of the things you're going to use is flat packs, but you can also use app images. You can use apps that you use. You can use apps from DistroBox. So it's created successful. Click on the exit here, and you have your own little terminal in here. You can go ahead and install the basic packages that it needs. You can kind of just install Debian packages, Fedora packages, anything that you really need to. You can use it for coding as well if you want. And basically you can do a whole bunch of things with it, which isn't bad. I think there might be other ways to get things done as well, but we will see. We will see. But yeah, you get the idea. You're able to do this. There is a way to like export packages as well. So yeah, we have the Debian thing here. So let's say I want to say I want to do this, right? I want to export the package from DistroBox. So let's see here. Let's do sudo apt install. This is gonna be a terrible example, but I'm gonna be able to get rid of it off my system. Firefox. Okay, so you get the ability to install OBS Studio. If you hit yes, it's gonna let you install OBS Studio. We're gonna use OBS Studio as a example. You kind of just let it do its thing. But this does let you have some sort of control over your computer. And granted, this is going through DistroBox. So DistroBox is yet another compatibility tool, but it's a different kind. It's a compatibility tool for being able to install different kinds of packages that you would want from like programs, for example, from different distributions, like you do from the AUR, Debian, dev files, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, you can also install dev files as well, which is good. So what you can do is here, you can, grab OBS from here. So if you do DistroBox export, and you type in --app, you put the package name, OBS-studio. You can go ahead and, export OBS. And you go here, you type in OBS, they'll say OBS Studio on Debian. Go ahead and click on that. There you go. Got OBS on Debian. And this is not an up-to-date OBS, by the way. You could probably install PPAs if you want to, if you get like Ubuntu or something. But yeah, you get the option to use this. This will work. I think this will work how it's intended to as well. So if I go ahead and click this, screen capture pipewire, hit OK. Go ahead and click Windows here. Screen. Hit OK. Oh, it crashed. There might be some limitations. There might be some limitations to this actually when it comes to that. That's an interesting thing to see.
Of course, it was a example. I don't think anybody would be using this as, you know, what they need to eat, you know, from here, but let's, yes, it's not really doing that. But if you want to get rid of it, distro box, export, delete, app, OBS, and it's going to go ahead and unexport it, and then you go type OBS. It's no longer in there. Of course, there's no reason to install OBS like that, because you can just click on Bazzite, search, and grab OBS here. This OBS is maintained by the OBS project. It's really good. Yeah, you can do that. This is an example, though. I'm pretty certain other things will work just fine on it. Granted, you know, it is a thing. But, yeah. Other than that, you know, if I had to, like, really say something about this OS, so of course I've kind of, like, you know, kind of slept on this thing for a little while until now. If I had to really say anything about this OS, I'd say that it's a really good thing to set up and get started to let people know how to use Linux, because they definitely want to get their foot in the door, and it's a good way to get their foot in the door. Plus, if you even just want to use it as your daily driver, you can. Yeah, I think it is good enough to do that. And you don't have to do any major coding. You don't even need a PhD to use this, right? Granted, you don't need a PhD to use any Linux distro, really, but with a Linux distro like this, as easy and as straightforward as it is, you don't actually have to know anything about Linux at all. You just kind of just install your applications, get your things going, and you are good. So I think this is a good distribution for people to use. And if you had enjoyed this video with me explaining things and how to get things set up and done, especially with Bazzite installations, go ahead and check out my other videos, as well as go ahead and you know, take a look at these distributions. If you were on the fence on trying out Linux, start out with Bazzite, maybe go to Linux Mint, maybe, you know, try out these other distributions if you want to, or just kind of stick with one, because Windows isn't really good, and I don't think it's a good OS for people to use. But anyways, I hope this Linux Guide to Vtubing video has made it your way, and tell me what other distributions you want me to do in the comment section below. If you like this video, go ahead and like it. If you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and subscribe. Thank you for watching. My name is Kyle and Echo, and I hope you have a good night. Bye-bye.